fantasy? What's your football fantasy? You come home after a long day, you need football in your life the TTNL way. You tap on your phone after fantasy play. Pause, not like that before you take it the wrong way. You have an idea what players to draft, then tap on a beer like genuine draft. Study all the players, look close at the stats. A QB first and a top running back. First you hear Cool Kennedy audio, then on your screen you see Jackle, and Claudio. It's a take, never lies production. They keep it fantasy with Ivan's porno production. Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, what's your football fantasy? Keepin' it fantasy, it's a football fantasy.
Yo, this is Claudio the Barber, and this is TTNL's Keepin' It Fantasy, the best fantasy show on TTNL. So, Week 9 is in the books, and the home stretch for the playoffs has begun. So let's get to it. Let's bring on the boys, Mr. Chris Jackle and Mr. Ivan Vargas.
That was
well done.
Fun.
You like that?
Well done. I like that.
Not on the planet yet, just TTNL.
Yeah, we're just starting. It's just
Hey, best fantasy show on TTNL Network, baby.
That's right.
It's perfect stuff. Well, welcome back, guys. Welcome to Keepin' It Fantasy. Before we get started, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Tape Never Lies Network. Make sure you go ahead and check out the tapeneverlies.com to become a patron on our Patreon channel. Not that expensive. Great content. All the extra TTNL or extra DDP breakdowns. Less than a blue check mark on Twitter. You get all the TTNL breakdowns. You get all the extra shows, bonus shows, pop-up shows, all that great stuff. Fellas, it has been an interesting week. Jackal was telling us a nightmare story behind the scenes. I don't know if you want to relive that real quick, Jackal, but it's been real quick before you start. It's been a rough go of it for me and for every time I hear Jackal's story, Jackal has like these horror stories. I'm like, man, I hope you survive. Like, I hope you get out of this season with at least maybe a playoff push, but it doesn't sound like it.
It depends. Well, that's what happens when you do when you're in a lot of fantasy leagues, right? You end up with all sorts of different scenarios, right? First off, good evening, boys. I hope we're all doing well. Tuesday night, here we are. But yeah, man, I took a fucking crazy beat last night watching the Ravens defense just slowly their points ticked away, and I didn't have the defense, and I ended up losing by 0.2 points, 100.38 to 100.18. I just like looked at it and I was like, really? And I text my buddy who I was playing, and he was just like, dude, that's just tough to swallow. And yeah, sure as shit. Yeah.
Sure as shit, it's tough to swallow.
Clip it.
Yeah,
that sucks. That just came out. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it happens to all of us, right? I mean, you get especially in the decimal. I'm not a big fan of the decimal stuff, but I mean, it is what it is. It's the majority of leagues, but hey, it happens, and you just gotta try to win the next week.
Live to fight another day. Hey, playoff pushes here, though.
Claude likes dealing with whole numbers. So
whole numbers, yes.
Whole numbers.
Keep
it simple.
Yeah, with the playoff push, we're it's actually good because we're gonna actually talk about some waiver wire pickups today. But let's go ahead and start it off. Studs and duds for the week. I'm gonna let who's gonna say the obvious stud of the week, right? Who wants to do it? Jackal, you want to talk about him?
No, I'll let Claudio go.
Claudio,
kick it off.
Claudio, kick it off.
Okay. All right. Darnell. No. Justin Fields. We all know it's Justin Fields. He's the talk of the league. It's not just a Bear thing right now. This is literally the talk of the league. Everybody's flipping their fucking their narratives on him, in the media. But I mean, 4 total touchdowns. The dude breaks a record for most rushing yards for a quarterback. In the regular season. So
178 yards.
178 yards. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. As Bear fans, obviously, it's a beautiful thing. But in fantasy world, this guy is a dangerous weapon who needs to be in your lineup and starting most weeks because he's only getting better as the year goes on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, over the last 4 weeks, he's had, depending on your league, somewhere around 110, 111 fantasy points, tops in all of fantasy football. He is absolutely dominating the sport in terms of football and fantasy for the stat nerds over here. But it's just crazy to think the streak that he's on. It's 3 straight games of 20 plus points in any format. Last week, 47.5 points. In one league I had 55 points with him because of bonuses and all sorts of crazy shit. The guy is just a fantasy monster. It's 15 carries, 178 yards. He threw for 130.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
But 3 touchdowns. But 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
2 in the red zone, which is even better to see,
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the things that work for him. More movement, they're doing the play action. They're bootlegged. They're letting him attack the edges of the formation. He's really, and he's setting up the offense to score. Like it's fucking beautiful. It's embarrassing.
He's literally willing. He's willing that Chicago offense. Like it's all just and I've seen a Michael Jordan take over a game. I've seen Derrick Rose take over games. He's not Michael Jordan, but like it reminds me of Derrick Rose, like when he would take over a game. It's like, whoa, we have a guy that could single-handedly change the outcome of what's going on the football field in Justin Fields. Those passes, by the way, I know everybody's enamored by the rushing yards. Those passes were on point. The touchdown passes he threw were great. The one to Mooney. The one to Mooney was fantastic. A dime ball. And it's only going to get better when you put playmakers around. We talk about it ad nauseum, but like you said, Jack, like he's just been outstanding these past 4 weeks, ever since the Washington game. Been on fire.
I mean,
Claudio,
I was just gonna say, he's obviously not up to Mahomes' level yet, but he has the same magic, and Phil called him a magician. He's got these things, these little quirky little things, his side throws, these things that he does that you just don't see a lot of quarterbacks do. On that huge touchdown run, everybody's saying he was gonna throw. I think he did that fit. That was just a fake. He had no intention. He had no intention to throw to that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had no intention. He did it before in another game. I forget when it was, but he did that same type of little, I'm gonna throw. No. He knew it. He baited him, and he fucking
just tried to change that guy like out of hesitation, dribbling a basketball, just trying to get him to change his way. That was beautiful.
So that just shows
I thought that, Claudio.
His feel of the game, obviously, and his confidence is leaps and bounds from what it was back in the start of the year when everybody's questioning, his confidence.
And circling back to fantasy, boys, he's literally QB1 right now. He's a must start this week against Detroit. You guys are going to see it on hand, in person. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say because you guys will just clip it. So he's just going to fucking dominate. Like I cannot wait to see that performance against Detroit, just with the way Getsy and the Bears are utilizing the offense, really kind of just curtailing it to his strengths and his ability to improvise and just do things that, like you said, Claudio, other quarterbacks just can't do. It makes you it gives you great feeling as a Bears fan. But if you own shares of him in fantasy football and you grabbed him halfway through the year, you're probably going to be making a playoff push. And he's still only rostered in about 65% of the leagues. So you can go out
he might be out there. Yeah, is crazy. If you're going to spend fab, you want to spend a lot of fab on him.
Fucking.
Spend what you got to do. Spend whatever the hell you have to spend.
Give her all your money, man. That's what you got to do. It's like you're falling for it. Yes.
Yep.
Hey, throw them dollars. But I agree with everything you guys are saying. I'm looking forward to it. I think this Detroit-Chicago game might be a bit of a high-scoring game, maybe similar to what Miami did. I don't know. Detroit's been struggling a little bit, but our defense is not as great. Right. The last week, our defense is not great. So I could see Detroit, matching us touchdown for touchdown. But last thing about Justin, I think we all had the feeling. We went to the game, Cherie, Cool Kennedy, and Jim Larison. Thanks, Jim, again. But we felt at any moment the Bears were in the game. At any moment in that game, the Bears were in the game because they had number one on the football field, and you started to believe. Moving forward, because I know we could talk about Justin all night.
We'll talk
I
about
just
it
want
next.
to add
We'll
something real quick.
Night.
Just
Go ahead,
speaking
Jackal.
of your point and seeing him in person, you always talk about rushing quarterbacks and the importance of, in terms of fantasy and how that equates to fantasy points. And right now, 5 out of the top 8 quarterbacks in fantasy all have over 300 rushing yards. That'd be Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Justin Fields. The other 2 are Daniel Jones and Marcus Mariota. So, and if you look at those guys are still putting up fantasy points. Those guys are still Daniel Jones, they're coming off a bye, right? They didn't play last week. So they're expecting him to come out swinging. They have health back over there. So you could see Daniel Jones, maybe not. I'm getting off topic here, but because I was going to talk about Daniel Jones, but I just think it speaks to Justin sliding into this territory of top 6, top 5 overall on a year.
Right.
And so to speak on just in terms of fantasy, if you can get him, fucking get him. And if you got him, good for you. There's assholes on Twitter like, oh, it's embarrassing to have Justin Fields on fucking fantasy. Are you fucking an ass bag? Seriously? This dude is a fucking fantasy monster. But enough about Justin Fields because we could do this for an hour.
Let's
There's
move
been
forward.
some other top performers. Do you want to talk about Joe Mixon real quick or anything?
Go ahead, Chris.
5 touchdowns.
Talk to him.
The bell cow finally came through. 3 touchdowns on the year. Everybody's been still throwing him out there in your lineup. You're getting nervous because he hasn't been finding the end zone since he's just been tough to deal with. It just, another tough pill to swallow. And finally, he just comes together with one of the best fantasy performances in the history of fantasy football. Top 12 in overall production.
22 carries, 153 yards, 4 touchdowns rushing, 4 receptions, 58 yards, 1 touchdown receiving, 55 points when I'm looking at the Fantasy Pros and it's a PPR league. So 55 points in the PPR league with the Fantasy Pros. So, amazing amazing day.
Stephon Diggs had the most fantasy points on the year, 44.2, I think, for single season PPR fantasy point best was Stephon Diggs in week 2. This dude broke that before halftime. Fucking just put in serious work. It's unreal. And I didn't realize some of the numbers. Jamal Charles has the best overall fantasy day in the history of fantasy sports in 2013 with 59.5 fantasy points. That's PPR. It's got guys that were, back in the 50s. I'm just looking at a list here, but Mixon is 12th on this list behind Doug Martin, coming in at 55.1 points. So 12th. I mean, if you had him, I saw somewhere in the comments here, somebody got outscored by Mixon. Yeah, here it is right here. Jason Bears. Fucking Mixon outscored his whole fucking team, which could have happened if you just had buys and you didn't play well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on buys. So yeah, I can see that, man. That's crazy.
I mean, you can't see that coming.
Mixon? No, you can't.
You can't see that coming. No, I don't have Mixon. I wish I had Mixon, but
me neither.
Geez, that sucks.
No, he's on my blacklist. I don't draft him. So
dude, one of your boys, Claudio, fucking balled out again this week, man. A rookie up in Seattle.
Kenneth Walker. Oh yeah.
Yeah, KW3, second freaking day or second game in a row.
Yeah. He's anybody that's in a dynasty league or that's definitely looks like he's going to be a solid running back for years to come. The dude can ball for sure.
Yeah,
another star, man. And you guys got some other guys that really did well. Any studs?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kenyon Drake. I actually started Kenyon Drake, and he ended up giving me 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I'm ecstatic about Kenyon Drake. I don't know if it's gonna continue, but
Gus Edwards is back this week, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I heard Coach say he was excited about getting Gus back. So I don't know what that means for Drake, but it looks like when he gets
Drake
the ball,
will still get his touches, but
Yeah, but he ended up putting out over 22 this week. I know Stephon Diggs got me 15, so Stephon Diggs is probably a start, so I'll take that L. But yeah, he got 15.
I mean,
I'm not calling him a stud, but
definitely wasn't a sit, but he definitely wasn't. He didn't do what he should have done. He went under.
He was average.
Yeah, he was average.
Yeah, he was average.
He definitely shouldn't have sat him, but that's all right.
Definitely.
We'll throw out a crazy sit
Definitely not. But, another guy I was going to talk about, Geno Smith, it just continues to do the job in Seattle. Just continue. Like, he's a start. He's a start. I don't see why you would say, unless you had a top overall quarterback or he was facing maybe the number one defense in the league. I think Geno Smith's a start every week. If you got him, I think he's earned that much. I mean, Kenneth Walker does help, but I like Geno Smith. I really do.
It's consistent.
Yeah, their defense, their offense, just Pete Carroll is coaching his ass off, right? Like, just totally dialed in, made the right decision of saying, you know what, Russ, let's ride the fuck out of here and go over to Denver. And I'm gonna go with Geno Smith. They tried to get a quarterback, right? I mean, they definitely wasn't for a lack of effort, weren't they? They did try to go out and bring somebody in, but they put all their eggs in the Geno Smith basket and have really it's paid dividends, and they're looking like geniuses up there in Seattle, and that's equating to fantasy points all around. Wide receivers. DK had the little knee issue. I'm trying to bring up his numbers right now, actually, while we were talking about it. But do any of you guys have any Seattle wide receivers outside of obviously kind of KW3 or K-Dubs, whatever everybody's calling them? I don't even know at this point. I'm old. But do you own any shares? And was it Tyler Lockett?
DK.
And you had DK Metcalf. Yeah. How did he do this week for you, Claudio?
Let me see. I have him in.
I'm just trying to bring it up right now. Sorry, I should have.
No, that's all right.
In front of me.
No, he had 18 points in one of my leagues. Which, yeah, 5 receptions, 37. He had the touchdowns, which saved his day. But
you got to get in the end zone, right?
Yeah. But he's definitely a guy that you need to have him in there. I think if even in a flex, because he's always got the ability to go off. The dude is really, really explosive receiver. So, but yeah, he did okay this week for me.
All right.
Yep.
Another stud. I'm going to go with Devontae Adams. He was on fire.
Finally.
On fire. The Raiders, just not a good year for the Raiders. Well, not a good half of the year for the Raiders. We'll see what happens in the second half, but they can just not catch a break. I mean, just giving up double digits, like you're leading by 20 in some of these games. What was it, 17? I think they led 20-0 in one of the games that they ended up losing.
Yep.
But Devontae Adams, 140-some yards. At one point, he was 10 for 10, 146, and a touchdown?
Yep.
At one point, and they ended up with 2 touchdowns. So 36 points for Devontae Adams, just a fantasy stud this week.
Yeah, another one is McCole Hardman from Kansas City.
Coming into his own, right?
Oh, yeah. He's coming into his own. He's that slash, almost Debo type, running back, receiver. He's getting a lot of rushes. He had 19 points, almost 20 points. 6 receptions, 79 yards, touchdown. And then, he's obviously with Kansas City, there's going to be always opportunities to score. There's always going to be, Mahomes is going to make stuff happen, and he likes McCole Hardman. He's got a lot of connection with him, so that's definitely a guy that's going to be involved plenty.
I'm wanting to see Tony, how they get Tony involved.
Yeah, they got him involved last week.
He's back. Yeah, he's back. He's healthy. Like, I want to see that a little bit more. I don't know if he's gonna
wide receiver 50 right now coming into week 10.
Right.
Tony.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna have like a big game, but like maybe towards the end of the season, he starts finding a groove, and maybe he becomes like one of those, or he becomes the number one or the guy that emerges. But right now, McCole Hardman's doing a good job. They had Juju had that one game, but like I said, over there it's a crapshoot. I wonder who's going to emerge. Yeah, he had a pretty decent day. Was it last week? I think. I just want to see who's going to emerge.
As 10 receptions.
Tony had 3 targets with 2 catches for 12 yards or whatever it was. So I think, like, to your point, Ivan, he should grow in the offense. But I mean, they have some, like, to Claudio's point, McCole Hardman has definitely just kind of forged his little niche in that offense there. And I don't know if Tony sounds great, and fucking Tyreek Hill 2.0, fuck you. I just think that's kind of scary to even make those types of comparisons outside of him running fast. But yeah, I
wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, like that's pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, that's why Tyreek Hill's in a class of his own. He's another stud This I saw it firsthand. Like just the speed.
What did
that
he look like
had.
live, man?
Fast.
Yeah.
Like,
You know,
really, like, yeah. I mean, he looked very comfortable out there, just doing what he does. It's hard to cover him. I mean, I know you got a bunch of young guys out there for Chicago, but regardless, Tua also was another guy. Like we could talk about Tua a little bit. There was a questionable that fourth down that he missed. That was like his worst throw of the day. But the rest of the time, I felt like it was that first half with Dallas where it was just Dak to Lamb, Dak to Schultz, Dak to whoever. It felt easy like that. But, you got to give him credit. I'll give Tua credit too. He was very accurate. He looked comfortable in the pocket.
Yeah.
The Bears don't have really much of a pass rush. But, when your number's called, you do the job. And he did it very, very good on Sunday.
You want to answer this question here or no? Oh, go ahead.
I mean, we can get
Zane has
starts and sits now, or
I don't know.
No. I was going to go click another one, but it ended up being Zane's.
I thought you put it up there.
If you want to answer, we'll wait for
we'll do it. We'll come back
a little bit later.
Yep.
I'll give it a star, Claudio.
It's up there. That's why I figured you put it up there.
I'll give it a star.
Someone put it up there.
Claudio, what are you doing?
I know. I was saying that I was going to put this up because I wasn't going to forget, and that ended up screwing up.
Yep.
I fucked up. So, yeah.
Cole,
so anyway, Cole is another
had
guy.
A fucking monster fantasy day.
Yeah.
Talk about it, Jackal.
He's a guy that I've had shares in a dynasty in my 2 dynasty leagues, just literally sitting there. I dropped him once, then I picked him up 3 weeks later, still sitting there. He sat there last week, but it was just great to see. I'm trying to bring up his numbers right here. So in my league, he had 22.7 points. He had 2 carries for 9 yards, and he had 5 receptions on 6 targets, 41 and 2 tuds, man. So, and he had 3 in this league. It keeps tracks of first down. So he had 3 first downs. You get points for first downs in this one league I'm in, which is kind of interesting.
Wow.
So that's how he had a 22.7. But Cole, it'd be nice to see them continue to work. You see that budding relationship with the quarterback. We're obviously gushing about JF1, but we're seeing the residuals, right? The shrapnel, the good positive type of shrapnel that's affecting. It's I'm using all these negative terms, infecting, whatever. It's starting to benefit the other players, man. He's such a weapon offensively with the ground game that now the wide receivers and the tight ends are definitely benefiting from it. I think Cole could have a much bigger role in the offense moving forward. I really like what I see with Cole Kmet, and he was definitely a stud in Week 9 against the Dolphins.
That is true, Sheree. He did run. Sanborn did tackle. It was an ankle tackle. He did lay out, but he made the tackle.
He's still tackling the book, right?
He got him in the open field. I'll give him that credit. That is true. That is a true statement. Jack Sanborn caught Tyreek Hill from behind. Clip it. But anyway, Claudio, you got another stud, or do you want to go over to the
let's go to duds. I think.
Well, can I just add? You talk about Dolphins, right?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And Jeff Wilson, newly traded, comes over there, and when you're talking about Tua, that pass he hit him over in the flat, where it turned into the touchdown there. I think 12-yard. I forget what it was. It was a red zone touchdown, I think, for the Dolphins there. Might have been the game winner, and I didn't expect it for one when he got traded that he was going to, I still thought Mostert was going to still have the majority of the carries, but he ended up outplaying. He had more snaps. He was on the field for almost the same amount of time. He ran more routes. So he just came in and instantly slid into like the RB1 in Miami. I still don't really trust their running back group, just the way it kind of works with. Now you have a pretty big committee, so you definitely know what you're going to get. But another stud for me in Week 9 was Jeff Wilson.
Because they said it even
16.2.
He played with for Mike
McDaniel.
So he knows the system. He was able to plug and play him in there. And
same with Mostert too. They were both right. Both of those guys.
I don't know if Mostert was with him. I don't know if he was there. He might have been.
I think he was in San Fran also with and so
was
like
he?
those.
I don't know if he was hurt though. He might have been hurt because Mostert was hurt too when he was on the Niners. But anyways, that's a big. I agree with you. I think Jeff Wilson. That's a good call. I think going forward, he might be the number one
yeah.
RB1 over there. So you
Let's
guys
talk
want to
about
move on?
a couple
Do some
boys.
duds?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go kick it off. One of the big duds for me was going to be Justin Herbert. It was just not a great week for the Chargers quarterback. I mean, he had a lot of attempts, had 245 yards. He had an interception, had a touchdown, only gave and on this website it's only 13 points, 13.1 points, excuse me. But it just wasn't a good day for Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Turnovers.
He's having a tough time.
Well, I mean, when you lose your top two receivers,
right?
Keenan Allen, Mike Williams have not been there for him. Trust me, I got Herbert in the sleeper league. You know, in our TTNL league, and it hurts. Yeah, he's.
I remember when you drafted him, Claudio, and we were talking about our rosters, and I was like, "Damn, with Herbert's thinking like top 5 QB, like damn, your roster's a line, fucking line." It's
but I mean, monster. Let's just talk. I gotta say, right now, week 9, Keenan Allen is my most frustrating fantasy player because every week it's like he's questionable. They're not putting him on IR. Like it's just so frustrating with Keenan Allen because he's obviously a great player when he's out there.
I have a lot of Keenan Allen.
But it's just so tough to, like if I knew he was going to be out this long, I mean, I would have tried to, trade him away or sit him or
I'm in the same boat, Claudio.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Keenan Allen. He's supposed to be playing this week. It sounds like he's finally like a go. I'm seeing all his projections.
But that's the thing. Do you trust it? Do you trust it?
No.
Are you going to start him?
No.
That's the point. Are you?
I will if I get a positive. If I see anything outside of doubtful and it's questionable going into Sunday, I may have to. I went running back heavy in a bunch of stuff, so I banked on Keenan coming to play. So I need him to start fucking performing, kind of out of desperation. But so yeah, he's definitely So I'm with you with
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Herbert, man.
Well, it might as well be the whole Charger offense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
except for Eckler, he was my other stud.
Well,
he had another fucking monster day.
I stand corrected. Austin Eckler is a monster, and he had a big day. But you just can't get the passing game going. Justin Herbert is a huge talent. I mean, we've seen it, but you got to have talent on the field for him to help him out, and it's just not enough. I mean, Austin Eckler is one guy. You got to add
30 balls in 3 games. The last 3 games.
Hey,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
he's still number one.
Throwing them all to him. That's it.
Yeah,
number 1 running back for the season right now. So
who's that? Eckler?
Prediction. Yep.
Oh, that's your prediction.
Right. That was my prediction. Yeah.
Jackal, you got a dud?
Well, I'm gonna say it because I'm fucking. I think Aaron Rodgers threw a big stinker for the fucking Packers fantasy wise. I think I gotta say it exactly, Claudio. He did throw for
2
yards. 3 interceptions though, like fucking huge 2 red zone interceptions, just crippling fucking interceptions. So if you have him on your fantasy team, go fuck yourself. Sorry, because we don't like the Packers here. But if you're streaming and you're hoping to get something out of him because he was playing the Lions, and like many people, like we talked about last week, going against the Lions, that is like getting a shot of HGH halfway through the season for these guys. They're just gonna fucking run through walls for the rest of the season. Unfortunately, it didn't play out for Aaron Rodgers. He was smoking too much weed or whatever it was, and he just unfortunate through to the wrong color shirts.
Do you smoke ayahuasca, or don't you just inhale it?
I think you
drink it.
It's a drink.
Yeah. It's a tea. I think they make it.
I've never done it, so
I've never done it either.
I don't know how to. Like, I'm confused. I was thinking you smoked it too, but then I thought it was like.
You might be able to
inhale it, you know what I'm saying? Like, or whatever. I don't know what the hell it is. But anyway, he hasn't been good.
Yeah, but he was my dud, man. He was my dud. It's just going against the Lions, who have just not given up. How do I say this? They have not given up no less than 24 points to a quarterback for fantasy purposes in a while. And Rodgers came into play and just threw up a big stinker. And I'm pretty happy about it. So that was my dud. And I will drop that turd off to somebody else. Here we go, boys.
Claudio.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's been my dud before. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he had 17% snap in that game. That's not boding well for him going forward. So if you still have him, if you're starting him, I would shy away from him because McKinnon and Pachenko, I think, are the guys that are going to be getting more of the touches. But he had 4 attempts for 5 yards. and he was rostered in our league. I looked up 92%. He was rostered.
He's still RB35. It's the whole Chiefs thing. Like it's like it's.
But he was a dud this week. That's what I'm saying. This week he was a dud.
No, you're right.
This week he's a dud. And going forward, how do you trust him? You know, when you have 17% snaps, and you're supposed to be the RB1, you can't be having a guy in your fantasy team getting 17% of the snaps. So
none of the running backs did well this past week.
No, I'm going to go.
Dud all favor.
Yeah, I'm going to call another dud. Brian Robinson Jr. hasn't done it. It's been rough.
We talked about him last week, right?
We did. It's been rough, but it's 13 carries, 44 yards, no touchdowns, 2 receptions. Is that minus 6 yards? Yeah, minus 6 yards. Ended up with 5.8 points. Big dud. Not really, we're glad the kid's on the football field, but you gotta give me something. You gotta perform. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give me some fantasy points, and he didn't do it last week, so I'm gonna call him a dud. Another one, I would mention, and honestly, it's 2 guys because they use them as a tandem. The Green Bay backfield, talking about the Packers. Shitty. It's not 6 points apiece. You got 6.5 and 6.4 for Dylan and for
Jones
Dylan
did get hurt, but
Jones did get hurt, but still,
he came. Yeah,
you're drafting that just similar to Aaron Rodgers when you drafted him, right? You're expecting even with the young receiving core, you're expecting some points, and if not, you were definitely expecting this running game to be, the biggest highlight.
Especially against the Lions.
Right, exactly. It should have been their focal point. It's just they haven't been. They're not healthy on the offensive line. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what the hell. Like you said, we're talking about ayahuasca. Man. Bakhtiari can't stay healthy. It's been a rough go, and I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it. But fantasy, owners that have picked up these guys that are usually studs, I'm sure a little bent out of shape. But those guys are duds this week, the tandem of the Green Bay Packers running back.
And stay in the same division, man, because Cherie and I are thinking alike here. DeAndre Swift, man, he was another dud. Expected. He found the end zone in week 8. You were thinking, all right, and it sounded like going into week 9, they were like, oh, he's still kind of hurt. We don't know what we're going to get. And, of course, a lot of people started him, and he was a big, fat disappointment. And it's too bad because they were going against the Packers, whose defense was banged up, and they lost plenty of guys throughout the game due to injury. And so Jamal Williams ended up being the workhorse there. I know Claudio liked him last week. He had 24 carries. I mean, he only had 81 yards, but he had 24 carries. And that does not necessarily bode well for Swift. Granted, there was some health concern. Swift has clearly been the dynamic back, and they like him. But if he's broken, and Detroit's trying to save jobs at this point, right? There's no more kneecaps to bite in Detroit. Now I think it's trying to hold on to, positions and not.
Yeah, Williams had 61% snaps percentage, and Swift had 16. So, I mean, obviously it could have been that they were easing him in because of the injury, but Jamal Williams has been pretty steady all year. So I don't think Swift's going to be getting the chunk of the carry.
If he's healthy, he's their back. I mean, they're going to play. I mean, when he's healthy,
they're going to play him, but I think it'll be a split. I don't think it'll be he's going to get the majority of them. But
I got no argument. I've been preaching Williams all year. Yeah. But any more duds?
I'll throw a dud out there. I mean, DJ Moore. I love this kid. I love him as a receiver. It's just Carolina is a shit show right now, and they had a horrible game. He had 4 points, 2 receptions, 24 yards, and 6 targets, and he was in the whole game. So that was not what you're looking for. So that was a big dud for a lot of people. But that's it. That's all I got off the top of my head.
Yeah, and actually, I wanted to show Jackal shared this graphic with us with the top 10 worst draft picks. And I thought I wanted to share it with you guys.
Yeah.
Some of these guys that we're talking about are on there. Swift. We have not even talked about Jonathan Taylor. I know he's hurt, but he's been a huge disappointment. Cam Akers, Najee, all these guys right here. These are first rounders. Some of these guys are
Pitts is probably one of the worst too, besides Taylor. Because I mean, Akers, Harris, definitely I have Harris, but Pitts, everybody was high as fuck on this dude, and he has been He's been not good.
Darren Waller has not been good. You know, we've talked about DeAndre Swift. It's been a rough good. Like it's kind of a crapshoot with some of these top 10 picks and you know first rounders. Michael Thomas, you know, a toe, and it's every year with Michael Thomas. I would stay away. I would advise you guys just if you're gonna pick up Michael Thomas, make sure it's like 8th round, like you know the bottom of your whatever your draft, however long your draft is. Just don't even risk a higher pick than I would pick him like an average receiver. Like that's what I would do. I would look to him being a depth piece from here on out, at least fantasy wise. Just you can't trust that health. Any more guys? We're capped off. We want to move forward. Starts and sits.
Yeah, let's do it.
We could go to starts and sits. Josh Allen wasn't a dud, by the way, Nino Brown. He had 20. I mean, he might not have hit his projections, but he had 27 fantasy points. I mean, granted, and I think he might have blew out his UCL on that hit. He may need Tommy John after that shit, man. That's too bad.
It's don't wish that on me, Jackal. Don't say those. Don't say those. I know it's out there. Just don't. Let's. It's very scary over here. It's a rough time. I'm hoping he doesn't go down because then I think that's it. I'm starting Marcus Mariota the rest of the season. But anyway, let's go ahead and starts and sits. Week 10 in the NFL. There's some big games. You have obviously in the East, you have the Eagles and the Redskins, not the Redskins, excuse me, the Commanders. I'm gonna go ahead and start Jalen Hurts, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to go ahead. I think they're actually going to put a whooping on the Washington Commanders. I'm looking for big points from him. I'm looking for not Justin Fields points, but I'm looking for something to that effect. Maybe 3 touchdowns, 2 on the run. Maybe not the rushing numbers, but, he's able to utilize his legs in a way that benefits the Eagles. So I'm going to look for Jalen Hurts to have a really big day against the Washington Commanders.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely you're gonna have him in your lineup, no doubt about it. I'm gonna go with our new boy, Chase Claypool. I think he's gonna have a big game against the Lions. I think you saw the Bears get him involved in his first game. I think you got another week with him, another week to develop him, and then in this offense. So I think he might. Lions are 29th against wide receivers in the league, so there should be some good matchups for him. So I would go with Chase. Yeah, put him in your lineup. Put him in a flex.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to support you on that because my must start is Justin Fields. I mean, with all the talk we've had, granted we've kind of fucking beaten a dead horse here, but going against a 32nd ranked defense against the run and the pass in the Detroit Lions, their defense allows an average of 7.5 net yards per pass attempt, which is also last in the league. So to your point, Claudio, that sounds good for Chase. That sounds good for Mooney. Sounds good for Komet. Anybody else that Justin feels like throwing to. But they also allow a league worst 2.59 points per drive to opponents. So they're anytime that other team has the ball, they're giving up points, which means fantasy points also. So I think Justin Fields is a must start. Had, I think, since in the last 5 games, no less than 17 points. So I know over the last 3 games, he's had no less than 25, but in the last 5, he's had no less than 17. So that just speaks to like one game where it's like, he still had 17 points. So Justin Fields must start going against the Lions. For the TTNL crew that will be in attendance, he will put it on them for you. And I think that's a nice little tandem for 2 starts right there from us there, Claudio. What do you guys got? Do you have a running back? Anybody got one?
Yeah, Saquon Barkley. And you know why? Because they're playing the Texans. All right. I think just looking at the matchup, this could be a big day for Saquon Barkley and the Giants running game. Just saying. You've seen the struggles with the Texans. Miles Sanders last week against the Eagles. Miles Sanders had 96 yards? It had to be like one of the higher outputs of the year for him. And the running back, I think Gainwell had a pretty decent day too. So we know running backs feast against the Texans. Saquon Barkley, and I'm sure he hasn't left any people's roster, starting lineup all year. But put him in if you are having any doubts. There is no doubts because he's playing the Texans and they're terrible.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, Barkley always got to be in your lineup, of course. I got another running back / receiver. Our old dude, Cordarrelle Patterson,
mine.
back from an injury. The dude, had 2 touchdowns last week. I was shocked. I put him in my lineup, luckily, and he did have those 2 touchdowns, which was nice. But he's going against Carolina, also 3rd worst against running backs, and he had 13 attempts last week on a 39% snap. So that's not, it's not a lot of snaps, but obviously they're giving him the ball.
Only 44 yards, but those 2 tuds. Like
but I'm just saying this week going against a bad defense, I think you definitely want him in your lineup.
The Panthers just gave up 5 fucking touchdowns and 50 points to fucking Mixon. So yeah, that's definitely a good start. I like that one, Claudio. Yeah, that was mine. So yeah, that's a beautiful one.
I'm gonna go with the Dallas defense against Green Bay.
You and your defense.
I know it's at Green Bay, but I'm gonna go with that Dallas defense.
There's your streaming D right there.
I'm thinking,
Zane. There you go. Question. Answered your question.
I'm thinking Parsons gets 3 sacks. I think you get a turnover from Aaron Rodgers. I think it might be a bad day for the Green Bay Packers, even though it is in Lambeau. It is in Lambeau, isn't it? Yeah, even though it is in Lambeau, I think the Cowboys are going to come up there and wreck shop, especially on defense. So,
okay. I'm going to say start Zay Jones against the wide receiver for the Jacksonville against the Chiefs. I feel that he's been this dude that's just been on the cusp of a breakout. He's going Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. Let's see what happens. I like a bounce back for him. Not a bounce back, but an emergence on a national stage. I feel that he's a guy that, he plays 90% of the snaps. He's on the field for the majority of the game when Trevor Lawrence is out there. Good combination. Hasn't necessarily equated to fantasy success, but Kansas City has given up more than 30 fantasy points to opposing wide receivers in the 5 out of their last 8 games. I think that speaks to my boy Zay having a decent day. If you're looking to get a little buy action, and I don't know if we talked about the buys earlier, the Bengals, where did I have it? The Ravens. Who are the other 2 for buys? Do you guys remember by any chance?
The Ravens, the Bengals, the Pats, and the Jets.
Yep.
Thank you. So, Zay Jones may be a guy because there's some wide receivers in that group that are out. I think you can go ahead and you could either start Zay or grab him if he's out there. So he's a start for me.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to throw a guy out there that last week, if you remember, I told you to pick this dude up from the Panthers, Terrace Marshall. He's the number 2 receiver over there. He only had 3 catches, but he had 53 yards and a touchdown. But he had, he was in there 92% of the time on snaps, so the dude is in there. And I think this week, again, in the same game against Atlanta with Cordarrelle going against Carolina, Atlanta's defense is 2nd worst against wide receivers. It's bad. Yeah. So this could be a shootout in that game, and Terrace Marshall, pick him up and get him in your flex.
Yeah, I agree. I have no arguments there. I'm looking for the Fournette guy, Lenny Fournette, to have a big bounce back game against the Seahawks. I like the Seahawks, like I mentioned before, but I think at home something's got to get. I know Tom's having a rough go of it, but if you could get that running game really going against the Seattle team, I think everything will kind of ease up for the Bucks. I'm looking for Leonard Fournette to have a big game. I would start Leonard Fournette against the Seahawks at home in Tampa.
Nice. At home. Speaking of at home, Cade Otton, Tampa Bay, playing out in Munich against Seattle.
Yeah, first game in Germany.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Guten Tag. But yeah, he is a gentleman that I think is a start right now. He's not necessarily having the greatest results, but tight end is tough this year. A lot of up and down. There's only a few guys that are definitely performing. Guys coming back from injuries right now, but
it is in Germany. That's right.
Yeah, and they're playing the Seahawks, and the Seahawks have been pretty nice to opposing tight ends, giving the least amount of points they gave up this year was 5.8 points, fantasy points to a tight end. And that was in week 1, and it's just been going up from there. So I think Cade Otton is a pretty nice start for the Bucks going against Seattle and Germany. So
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Nice.
I totally forgot they were playing in Germany this week.
Yeah.
Is it going to be on that fucking ESPN Plus crap?
Probably 9 o'clock.
But Good Morning Football's been there all week. Not all week. They were there yesterday. So
I hope it's on NFL Network. I would like to watch it, but I mean, I don't think it changes my point of view. I think Fournette's going to have a good game, even in Germany. So,
hey.
Here's a quick hold on. You're talking about him. Let's just hit this real quick.
Oh, okay.
Would you start him over Cole Kmet this week, Chris? Do you like him
Well,
that
I
much?
think it. I'll say this. It's tough because the matchups for both. I'd have to double check on Detroit's defense against tight ends because Cade's going against a defense that's given up 82 fantasy points to tight ends in the last since week 5. I'm sorry. So it's just a nice little floor for Otten, but I don't want to sound like a homer and just say that,
So Otten's going against who? Who the Bucs?
He's going against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Oh, the Seahawks.
And
Okay.
they've been very, very nice. Like I said, 82 fantasy points since week 5. So they're definitely
Seahawks are really bad against. Yep.
Yeah.
But so are the Lions.
That's what's hard. So
they're both pretty bad.
You can't really go wrong, but I kind of like. Oh shit! I'm gonna go with.
Come on, his fantasy league and win
Cade
this
Otten.
week depends on his answer.
I'm gonna stick with my start there. I picked him over Cole Kmet for my start here, so I'm gonna pick him for my start here to answer your question.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. NFL Network.
Thank you,
Kidstro.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah. I'm not even gonna get started on the ESPN Plus. Anyway, let's keep moving forward.
What you guys got for sits?
Sits. Go ahead. You got to sit.
Claude?
Yeah, I got a few. Let's see which one we're gonna do. Mr. Kirk Thuggins, not Cousins. It's Thuggins now. Did you see him with the fucking chains? But no, I'm gonna sit him against the Bills. I think the Bills are gonna bounce back from this loss. I think they're at home and they're gonna shut down Kirk Cousins. I think Minnesota's a good team, but I think they're definitely beatable, and I think the Bills are gonna just take it to them. So. That's my sit. Maybe it's a crazy Stephon Diggs sit, but who knows? We'll see. See what happens.
He only got 15 points. He didn't get 35 points. All right. I would have started him, but if in retrospect I would have started him. But anyway, I took that loss. All right.
It's all right. It's all right.
I took that out.
We all have them, man. We all have.
I have them every week.
People were shitting on Fields early in the year, and then now all of a sudden they love him, so it's like, hey, these things happen.
That's true.
Like, hey, what are you gonna do?
That's true. I'm gonna go with a guy that we were just talking about a little bit earlier, having struggles, Kyler Murray. Like I'm looking for the Rams to have a Rams defense to have a solid day against them. They've been struggling. I don't know what they're gonna do at the end of the year, what direction they're gonna be in. I know we talked about the Bears and Hopkins being maybe a possibility, but that's our, pipe dream.
It's our wet dream.
But in reality, Kyler Murray has not had a good year. He's not had a good year. He's been struggling. You've seen the frustration with him and Hopkins on the sideline this past week. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe it's too much Modern Warfare.
Call of Duty came out. That's it.
I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe like I said, maybe there was some truth to the issues that they were having at the beginning of the year, why they weren't trying to give him, you know what I'm saying, dealing with the contract, why were they having issues with certain verbiage in the contract and certain things that they wanted him to hold himself accountable for. And it's I don't know what's going on with Kyler Murray. He's a dynamic player, a dynamic talent. It's just not coming to fruition down in Arizona. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know where they're going to go, but I would sit him this week. I think the Rams are going to beat the Cardinals, and it's going to be pretty bad.
And I want to just piggyback that because I'm going to do like I did on the starts here with you said Claypool, I said Fields, you said Murray. I'm going to say sit our boy Hopkins. I mean, he's got a weird thing with the Rams. He's got the Rams own him.
That's a big one. All right.
Well, the last time he played the Rams,
that's tough for somebody to hit bench for Hopkins. It's a tough thing. In
the last 2 years, Hopkins has faced the Rams 4 times. In that period, he's averaged 52 yards, 5.25 receptions and a 0.25 touchdowns per game. That equates to 6.7 fantasy points on average per game against the Rams. So the Rams definitely seem to have his number. I don't know if it's Jalen Ramsey effect, whatever it is, but it's definitely something to think about. I don't like the matchup for him. And just to speak to your point of Kyler Murray shitting the bed and not playing well, that's not going to help. It's not going to help Hopkins in this situation. And I also think, the last 4 weeks, the Rams have allowed an average of 14 fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers. And I don't know. I could see other players being more impactful. Maybe Rondell Moore gets more looks just because of the way they're going to play. They're going to defend Hopkins. So I'm going to say sit Hopkins, just like you were saying, sit Murray for some of the similar reasons.
Nice. Yeah, some good points there, man. That'd be huge if that comes in for you, because that's like I said, it's a tough sit. But you could be right. Ramsey's putting people on lock plenty of times.
Could be a good prop bet too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll put out another one that's probably in a lot of people's starting lineups most weeks, but Mike Evans going against Seattle. They're actually ranked third best against wide receivers. They've got that rookie corner over there that's very good. And he struggled last week against mediocre Rams D. He didn't have a great week. So I think that might be a guy you might want to, if you have some better options, maybe try to take a chance, drop him, put him on your bench.
I'm going to go with sitting a Tua this week. They're going to go up against the Browns. They got a good pass rush. They could be able to get to Tua. I'm a little nervous about how that game's going to play out for them. I'm going to sit Tua if that's my big, whoa, what are you doing, Ivan moment. That'll be it. Just because they have more of a pass rush, I trust their defense to get home more and to make some plays more than I trust our defense right now. It's just how I feel. I would sit Tua. I think he's going to end up being sacked quite a few times this week.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
all right. I got another. Oh,
struggling.
Hold on. Let me just block the porn bot. Hey, we made it. We made it.
We got our porn bots.
We got porn bots. So
Nice.
Our show is got to that next level.
That's when you know you made it.
That's when you know
you guys want to, speaking of making it, do you want to slide on over to the waiver wire? Or do you guys have any other sits? What do you guys have?
I had one other sit. We talked about it before about the Cowboys D stopping the Packers. AJ Dillon, I think, should be a sit.
I sit Aaron Jones too, Claudio.
Yeah.
Sit them both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would sit them both. You're right. So that's the only other one I had written down to throw out there. So
I think I might sit ETN this week, and I think I will against the Chiefs.
Really?
He's having a good. He's been great, but I think the Jaguars are going to run into a Chiefs team that's going to be playing hot. The defense is going to. The defense the past few years, well, whenever they've made a really strong run, has picked it up the second half. I'm going to look for him to have a little bit of a struggle. Maybe not get into the end zone. Maybe like a 50, 58, 25.
Yeah.
58, 25 game, you know what I'm saying? 58 yards on the ground.
This week.
Yeah. I mean,
he's
you
top
could be
5
right
this week.
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, it could happen. I don't agree, though. I think he's the bell cow there. He's there often. They got rid of James Robinson for a reason, because I think they love his
28 carries
last
week.
Yeah, ever since they let go of him. But, I mean, you could be right, because that happens every week, right? I mean, there's always players that projected to do this and do that, and they get shut down. So, you could be onto something. So
waiver wire?
Yeah. Injuries, waiver wire, put them together.
Yeah, I mean, injury-wise, there was a few, right? I mean, we had Aaron Jones was hurt.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram got hurt. The fucking
Romeo
backup
Dobbs.
for the Indy. What's his name? Deion Jackson got hurt.
Yeah. Romeo
Dobbs, like you said. Darren
He's
Waller.
out for like 4 weeks. Thielen, and then obviously Allen. Allen's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Josh Allen. I mean, that could be bad. That could be,
that would suck, man.
I don't know if it would be a season ender, but
yeah.
So
do you see the video of that though? Just the torque and all that tension and pressure on the elbow. Used to hurt so. Oh my god, man.
Yeah, it sucks. I love this guy, but yeah, I mean, but if he
Even-
goes down, I mean, I think Case Keenum could be a guy that you want to obviously pick up and maybe start the kid.
If you're
He's able
streaming
to
QBs,
stream him. Yeah, if he's down, you might want to
Yeah.
pick him up. Might be a waiver wire pickup you want to do if you got a spot for a quarterback, just in case. You never know.
it's another spot you'd open it up to. Deshaun Watson, slide him in there. Stash. He's coming back week 13. Now's the time. Think of the stashing. Not that he want. Fantasy wise, he could end up being a QB. He could be a top quarterback if he comes back and plays well, but you just don't know. But just saying, if you have the luxury to stash a guy for a waiver wire, Deshaun Watson right now he's only rostered in about like 30% of leagues.
Yeah, he's going to be an immediate starter, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Waited that long,
Yeah.
You're not going to go ahead and wait another week.
Yeah.
I won't talk about Deshaun Watson, so you guys can talk about him. I'm done.
Yeah. So
it sickens me. So we'll move on. Let's go. It does.
Okay, so who do you have as give us a waiver wire claim then, Claudio?
Well, I'll give you a waiver wire claim. OBJ, Odell Beckham. He is eligible to be coming back. He's going to get picked up by a contender, and you want to pick him up and stash him because he's gonna get on a team that is going to use him. So it's going to probably be either the Bills. It's going to be maybe the talk about the Giants, obviously. The Cowboys. If he goes to the Cowboys, that could be dangerous for the Cowboys, for the offense. So I would definitely pick up OBJ if he's out there. I tried looking in my leagues. I guess people beat me to it. He's not available.
Yeah.
But he is available in a lot of he's available in probably like 50-60% of the league. So there's one. You got one, Jackal, or?
I mean, yeah, man. We could start quarterback wise. I think you could go out and there's not many like guys you have to pound the pavement for right now. I feel like it's kind of picked over. There weren't any major catastrophic injuries outside of the whole Josh Allen thing. You talked about Case Keenum. We talked about Deshaun. We talked about Daniel Jones is a guy that is only rostered in about 60% of leagues right now. He's one of those guys we talked about earlier. He's one of the 5 out of the top 8 quarterbacks in fantasy with, the whole over 300 rushing yards. Dual threat quarterback. They have a matchup going against Houston, another favorable situation. I think it's an opportunity coming off a bye where you could see Daniel Jones have a pretty good day. But also more importantly, you may be able to snipe him off your waiver wire because he's, like I said, he's available in about 40% of your leagues. So that's a quarterback for me on the waiver wire.
All right. Kenyon Drake. I know Gus Edwards is coming back, but like like Jamal Williams, who's my second guy, you should pick up if you haven't picked him up if he's available. These guys, I know they're splitting time, and I know it's by committee, but if you have questions of injury, like you have with Gus Edwards and you have with DeAndre Swift, I mean, like you said, Jackal, he got 24 carries. He was the bell cow for that game, and he's been the top back for the Lions, since Swift has been injured, and even before then, even before then, he was still putting consistent numbers, even with Swift, in the game being the starter. So I would say, go get a Kenyon Drake, go get a Jamal Williams. Those two guys. I'm not so high on Drake as I am on Williams, but if you're looking for running back help, if you're looking for, to catch lightning in a bottle, I think those guys can really give you some help week to week. Jamal Williams has just been uber consistent. I mean, you can't deny it. It's just been week to week. I know he had only 10 points this past week, but the week before he's had multiple 20-point games. I think Jamal Williams and Kenyon Drake are 2 good pickups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
For sure. Another running back we talked about him before, Jeff Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to pick him up. He's probably available like 50% of the leagues. And, like we said before, he could be the number 1 over there getting a lot of touches. So definitely want to pick him up. And our boy Cole Kmet, got to pick him up now. I mean, he had a breakout week, and he's could be heavily used in the offense going forward. So tight ends are very scarce in fantasy football. So if he becomes consistently involved, that's the dude's a beast. I mean, Phil said he saw him in person. He's like, this dude is like a monster. It's huge. And then you saw him truck over that dude. And I was watching the game, and Phil's like, that's what you got to do. This kid is so huge. Just use your, he could run people over. So if he starts getting more physical like that, he could do some damage. Yep.
I'm going to go with a guy that Jackal had mentioned as a start, and that's Cade Otton. He's available right now. It says that he's 8.1% rostered. So he's available, guys. If you want to go ahead and take a shot at him, he had a productive week last week. Looking forward to him being targeted again. If he's trusted by Brady, why not?
Yeah, good pick. I like that. Yeah, I have similar numbers on Otton being rostered in about 18% of leagues out there. So he's definitely definitely available, man. One of the guys, I think, speaking of Colts, I don't know if you can trust a Colts player, but Jonathan Taylor, you don't know what's going on with him. Deion Jackson was hurt. So Jordan Wilkins, who kind of could be the running back to start in Indianapolis if you're desperate. He is not rostered by anybody. So he's a guy just based on situations with the ankle and the knee, with Taylor and Jackson respectively. You just don't know what's going to happen. Jeff Saturday, new coach, it could be a heavy. Who has, is Matt Ryan calling plays? They got some other dude that's 30 years old calling the plays, they said. But if you need a running back and there's a guy you need to try to go out and get, you could go out and pick up Jordan Wilkins. I just think he's somebody that is available. And with the slim pickings at running backs right now, without getting a guy you've either had already and you dropped or somebody's retread. I talked about Rachaad White last week. He's still available. Elijah Mitchell, Cam Akers, guys that are coming back from injuries or just, coming back after bad attitudes or whatever it was with Cam Akers. Something to think about. Those guys aren't really rostered. They're rostered about the same, about 55% of the leagues. So there's opportunity there. Check to see if they're available. And, Claudio, one guy you talked about is Jerick McKinnon. He's rostered in about 20% of leagues. Not much fantasy relevance. He just doesn't put up fantasy points, but he's on the field for the Chiefs. So there's an opportunity for him to get points. But, he's got 123 rushing yards and 156 passing yards with one touchdown. So, but he's only rostered in a few leagues. And with what's going on in KC, he may be a dude that, you may want to grab. So those are a couple waiver wire pickups for running backs.
Yeah, another couple guys that are coming back from injuries. Jahan Dotson for the Commanders, and he was, he showed some promise when he was in there. And Treylon Burks for the Titans. They both should be coming back this week. So those are some deep waiver wire pickups that maybe you probably don't need to spend a lot of money on them. You can get them for free. Probably, you probably don't need to spend too much money on them, but pick them up now, stash them on your team if you can.
Yeah.
So that's
Carter for the Chargers, another guy. Rostered about 24% of the leagues.
Yeah.
Speaking of what's going on with Keenan Allen being out and Michael Williams, he had 6 targets or 5 catches last week for 53 yards. I mean, Josh Palmer's still the guy there with the other injuries. He's still the number one, but DeAndre Carter's not rostered by many people, and or he's not rostered in many leagues. So he's another guy you may be able to go out and get, especially with the buys and the injuries to the wide receivers right now, going into week 10.
Another guy I was going to say, and I mentioned him last week, kind of as like a throwaway, like kind of just throw it out there. Isaiah Likely, he had 5 targets. He didn't bring it in. He had only 1 reception, but a couple of those I would say were on the pass, and maybe 1 or 2 were on him. But if he gets more touches, he was able to get open. You know what I'm saying? He has athletic ability. It was one that was on him, and the other one he tried to make an athletic catch, and he just wasn't able to reel it in. But if he's going to continue to get targeted like that, those are some big spots. Those are, that's Mark Andrews spots. You know what I'm saying? You're getting big chunks with the tight end. might be a guy just to go ahead and keep on your bench and see, hey, maybe he gets hot, or if you want to go ahead and you're in trouble and you need to go ahead and start a tight end and stream a tight end, maybe look at him. I'm not saying he's going to go ahead and give you 20 points, but the way that they were targeting him and some of the balls that he got, like it looks like he has the ability to go ahead and do the job, or at least fill the role for a certain amount of time till Andrews is back.
Yeah. He had almost 20 points against Tampa 2 weeks ago, and he had 10 points, almost 10 points this past week on one catch. So, yeah, that's not bad, man. There's definitely some value there for sure. Got anybody else, Claudio?
No, not off the top of my head. I don't. We went through a whole bunch. Well, Terrace Marshall, like I said before, I don't know if I said obviously pick him up, but that's a big waiver wire pickup in my opinion. I think he's going to be have a good week this week. So
who's throwing? That's it. EJ Walker or
it might be Baker again. I don't know. Baker came in and actually started. That's when because he wasn't doing nothing all game with PJ Walker. Then when Baker came in,
they started moving the ball.
Started moving the ball. So, they're going to be down. It's going to be a shootout with Atlanta. Yep. But again, another reminder, it's a Thursday game. So put them in your flex, whoever you're starting in that game. Don't have them in your, keep them in your flex.
Yeah, 15 targets in his last 2 games. That's great, man. 7 catches, 140 yards, and a touchdown over that span. That's pretty solid, man.
Yeah.
He's worth adding for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Claude, you want to get to the questions?
Yeah, we got a couple here, I think. Let's see. Zane Wilson. So I would think, is that Zach Wilson or Russell Wilson? I don't know which one that is. Yeah, I don't know which one that is, Zane, but Mariota, probably Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson, Mariota, or Carr dropping Rodgers. I guess I would still say Carr, in my opinion, just because of the weapons. Waller's coming back. He's got way more weapons. I know it's a shit show over there, but Russell, if it's Russell Wilson, I don't know if it's Zach Wilson. Even if it's Zach Wilson, I would do Carr.
Yeah, I don't know if Zach Wilson fits out of those 3. I think it's Russell.
Yeah, it's probably Russell
seem
Wilson.
Pretty
but even Russell Wilson, obviously, he's been very inconsistent, very, whatever. Like I said, I'll just go with Carr because of the weapons.
I'm probably going to go Russell Wilson out of those 3. I think he's just due for a big game, in my opinion. I feel, out of the rankings there, he's rated higher out of those 3. But,
for the whole year, because he's dropping Rodgers. So this is going to be his quarterback for the year.
I go Russell Wilson. Mariota, they just don't throw the ball enough. He's not a dual threat enough quarterback. He's getting you 17 to 20 fantasy points, I think I was reading. But it's not. I think you're better off going with Derek Carr over Mariota. And so it comes down to Carr or Wilson for me. And I don't know. I could see Carr. I just for some reason, I'm going to say Russell Wilson just based on he's only got one where to go right now. And I feel like it's up. So he didn't play that bad against Jacksonville either.
No, it looks like it's getting better. I'm going to lean with Carr just because Devontae Adams, like you see what he did last week. And they're in the games. Like the Raiders are in football game. They're winning football. They're
up 17 points almost every fucking game.
Exactly. They're winning football games.
Their defense really.
And they can't hold on to a lead. So, I would start Carr just because fantasy-wise, he's able to put up points with Devontae Adams. Waller's coming back. I need to see more from Wilson. That's pretty much it. Like if this was the beginning of the year, I would say Russell Wilson because we're all assuming that they're going to have a big, big time offense. But yeah, I'm going to go with Claudio here with David Carr or Derek Carr.
All right. So we got another one here. Pick 2 out of these 4 half-point PPR. Hopkins, Gabe Davis, Godwin, and Rondell Moore.
Godwin and Moore. Those are my 2. Just Gabe Davis, you don't know because if Allen's out, you think Case Keenum's going to be throwing it 50 yards downfield to Gabe Davis?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think Hopkins is a sit this week. So by that, I'm going to go with Moore and Godwin.
Yeah, I agree. If Allen's playing, then you go with Gabe Davis in my opinion. But yeah, if not, Godwin and Moore. Yeah, Ramsey's going to be on Hopkins. He's going to try to shut him down. So even if Hopkins has a decent game, Rondell Moore's more chance of having a bigger game.
True. I'm going to go with Gabe Davis. If it's Allen, Gabe Davis, and Godwin. But if Allen's sitting, like I agree with Jackal, I don't think you're going to be seeing these bombs to Gabe Davis. I think it'll be a different type of offense for the Buffalo Bills. If that's the case, I like Godwin and Rondell Moore. If Allen's sitting, but
all right.
I just think Gabe Davis is not. He's only had 3 weeks of fantasy points in double digits. I just don't think he's that good. I think he's all hype. He's, to me, he's had 1 week over 20 points, and that was when he had that huge week with the 2 touchdowns where he had 32, and then 2 other weeks where he had 16 and 18. Outside of that, he's had 6, 2, 5, 5.5, 5.3. Like, I just don't see the Gabe Davis love, man. I had him initially, and I just got so frustrated with him and freaking just dropped him in the leagues.
I think that the love is revolved around Allen. Obviously, it's Allen can make guys look spectacular. Obviously, it's been rough goings. I mean, it's like you said, 3 weeks, but I think you give him some time, he's gonna end up finding him wide open, and you're gonna get some chunk plays. I mean, he had a big 98 yard, was it 98, 99 yarder? He's capable of doing that.
Oh yeah.
He's capable of doing that. I think also a couple of those weeks he did have that injury, so I don't want to make an excuse for him, but I like the game
play.
I like a Gabe Davis if Josh Allen is the quarterback. If not, then I'm questioning the entire offense, including Gabe Davis, because Josh Allen makes everybody better. He's that kind of player.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the potential's there. Just haven't really seen the fruits of the labor this year for fantasy. It's kind of like with Isaiah McKenzie. Everyone loves him. Projections are always super high. He gets all these high ratings, and he throws the same numbers up. It's like it's frustrating. I mean, Diggs is their guy there, right? And then that's why they went out and got Hines, and they're talking about really needing to go get OBJ because they need another receiver that they can. They need to make a push. They feel they need to make a push to go get something. Obviously they didn't do it. They made some moves trade deadline, but they didn't pull the trigger on getting a big wide receiver. But it sounds like they really want OBJ. So I don't know. But yeah, it'll be crazy, man.
Yeah, for sure. We got another question here. Got James Conner or Jeff Wilson Jr. half PPR. I mean, I'm going with Jeff Wilson all day long. He's going against the Browns, one of the worst teams against the run. And James Conner has been very hot and cold all year. So that's a no-brainer for me, Jeff Wilson. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go with Jeff Wilson just because, like you said, James Conner has been struggling. That Arizona offense has been struggling. That, like I said, that graphic that Jackal shared, James Conner is a disappointment. He's one of the disappointing picks this season. Jeff Wilson's, from that game we saw, he looks like he's re-energized and ready to play for Mike McDaniel. So I would say that Wilson could have a bigger day compared to James. I just don't trust James Conner.
So Conner's back. He came back last week. So he killed all the shares of like Benjamin and everybody else, in the backfield for the Cardinals. He played 72% of the snaps, which was the season high for him, which he's all the way back to week 1, unfortunately. But he's a guy that is a threat out of the backfield as well as, rushing as well as receiving out of the backfield. Sorry. I think he definitely has value. The cloudiness with the Mostert in Miami, this is a really good question. I don't know. I want to say all three of us go with Wilson, but I could see Conner outperforming. But just the matchup. I think you guys are right, though, with the matchup for Wilson. You know what? I'm going to go with Wilson. Screw it. Talk myself into it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because the Rams D is pretty decent, against the run.
Yeah, that's the run. Yeah.
So you got everything going pointing towards Wilson. So that's all you can do. Go with what the stats and what everything's telling you. Then cross your fingers. That's it. You know, right?
Brady or Stafford?
Yes, Brady or Stafford. Oh, shoot. I mean, I think Stafford's going against the Cardinals, right? Yeah. It's right. Yeah.
Brady's going against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Tampa
Stafford against the
Germany.
Cardinals. Yep. I would go Stafford against the Cardinals. That's me.
Wow. What's Brady got? Jesus, he threw the ball almost 60 times against the Rams. Holy shit.
Yeah.
58 attempts. Wow. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Stafford. I don't know. I just don't like Tom Brady anyway. Tom Brady's just Tampa's too. He needed Gronk to come back with him. I don't know. I just can't trust Tommy B.
Cardinals are giving up 68.6 completion percentage to quarterbacks. They're number 3 in giving up yards against the pass. So I would go ahead and start a Stafford. I still wouldn't start Allen Robinson, but I'd start a Matthew Stafford.
Sleeper, Van Jefferson. There's a sleeper.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think? Is there any more questions? Is there any more questions? We can hit them up quick. If not, we've been going for an hour. This show goes so quick, man. I love it. Like we start talking, we start getting into stuff, and it's cool. You know, all of a sudden we're an hour, 17 minutes in. Never gonna be like Keeping It 100. Never gonna be a 3-hour show.
Oh my God,
sure.
You guys are fucking insane.
The fucking marathon.
I'm not up for the 3-hour show. But I Keeping It 100, I do it on Wednesday nights. Back-to-back nights? No, bro.
No. But you don't need to. We need to just get this information out, and hopefully everybody's enjoying this.
Keep winning money, boys.
That's it. Yeah. I wish we maybe next year, maybe we'll start talking about DFS stuff too a little bit, but it's hard, because then it's a whole nother ball game.
It's a 2-hour show.
Whole nother strategy.
Definitely a 2-hour show.
Yeah. But if you have any questions, you can always throw questions at us if it's DFS questions about players.
Also, hit us up on Twitter. You definitely could hit us up at the network, TTNL, or hit us all up here. Sometimes our names are here, which we can put up here. There you go. But yeah, hit us up on Twitter if you have any questions. Follow the network like we were talking about. Hit us up on Patreon, www.thetapeneverlies.com. An amazing show coming up tomorrow night. Mr. Kenneth Davis joining the boys as the TTNL crew packs their bags and heads to Chicago this weekend to get into all sort of fuckery and shenanigans. And hopefully a fucking big W for our boys in blue and orange, navy and orange, which would be our beloved Chicago Bears and fucking quarterback JF1. I fucking am envious you guys are going, man. So I hope you guys have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
We will, definitely.
We're going to miss you.
Yeah, miss you.
Next year.
Yes, sir.
All
right, guys. For Claudio, Jackal, I'm Ivan Vargas. This has been Keeping It Fantasy.
Peace.
We're out of here. Peace.
What's your fantasy? Keeping it fantasy. What's your football fantasy? Keeping it fantasy. What's your football fantasy?
Lauren, can't they just stay a little longer?
All right. Yeah. Who wants a mustache ride?